It's not a direct line. You never find direct lines anywhere. It's always looping. So it seems confusing, and I've explained it here, but when you get to the Holy Nights and try to do it, what? And it just, this is how I work with it. Other folks do it differently. So this is a formula.
Have you written an article on this? Is this something people can read about?
I have, yes, I haven't recently. I know that William Bento publishes something almost every year. He will take a theme and give something that you can contemplate each of the Holy Nights.
He starts with Capricorn, doesn't he?
And some start with Virgo. And so it really has to make sense to you. This is what makes sense to me. To start with Aries, but I'm still dealing with the tropical zodiac. I'm willing to be there. I'm okay with that. I'm giving myself license and time. Because it's a mystery. And it is a human construct. But there is something valid happening here. And it's worth creating something so that you can do it. So that you can have some way of connecting with that season. Go ahead.
Can you say something about why some signs are descending and some are ascending?
So as Rudolf Steiner described it, that as the constellations of the zodiac, which are significant for us because there are 88 recognized constellations, but those are the only ones in front of which you will ever see sun and moon and planets. Now there is a hidden member there, just like there's this hidden night. There's a 13th constellation that doesn't get talked about, Ophiuchus. In the Greek tradition, Ophiuchus, as a human being, bore the name Aesculapius. He was the first doctor. And the story that I've heard is that he went to visit a friend and a snake came into the room and he slayed the snake, and a few minutes later another snake came in with an herb in its mouth that it placed on the body of the dead snake. The dead snake came back to life and they both slithered out of the room. So Aesculapius followed them into the wild to learn the healing arts. And so great were his powers that eventually he could bring the dead back to life, until he sought to restore Orion to life. And then Hades, Pluto, in the underworld said, he went to Zeus and said, this is robbing me of the fruits of my kingdom. You have to stop him. So Aesculapius was slain and placed in the cosmos as Ophiuchus, the snake charmer, and he's standing on the back of the scorpion, which is the realm of the underworld. So when we come through November, the sun is actually among the stars of Scorpio only for about a week, and then it moves into the foot region of Ophiuchus until about the 18th of December. We don't have stories in our current contemporary culture about coming back to life after death. It's there, but it's not part of the fabric of our, it is in a religious environment or in spiritual striving to understand the mystery of that, but it's there. It's the 13th hidden member sitting at the table or the chair that's waiting for the guest. Just as this 13th hidden holy night. It's tucked right there, kind of in there. So anyway, back to the question. That what Rudolf Steiner describes is that the beings, the mighty hierarchical beings that have as their outer expression the zodiac, send their forces toward the human being on the earth, and over great periods of time, the human being transforms what is being received as cosmic impression descending and transforms it until it's rising up again, back to the cosmos. So in our time, Aries to Libra have already been ascended. And what remain are and if you look at the human form, you can see that from the hip up, it's easy for me to do this. I can put my legs up, but not as easily. There isn't as much mobility and freedom. I'm still from the Scorpio region toward the feet, Pisces coming toward the earth. When you look at the Christ being in the painting by Raphael of the Transfiguration, he has his feet are in a certain position. He's up off the earth. From my head to my feet, I am the image of God. Another way to say that, from my head to my feet, I have transformed all of the impulses of the zodiac in a physical body and lifted them up. So also, Rudolf Steiner says the reason that we can fall asleep at night is because the zodiac is holding our form for us. The stars keep our form so we can pass in and out.
With the help of Ambien.
I hope not.
You know, when my grandmother would tell these fairy tales as a child, it stuck with me, inviting the 12 to the party, and not the 13. Well, of course, the 13 comes in, she's the witch,
Yeah.
and casts a spell at the party. And I always thought, well, why didn't you just invite the 13 anyway and save the trouble? Because the fact she wasn't invited led to her
Yeah.
causing trouble.
Good point.
And it never worked out.
It's a Judas mystery in there.
Yes, yes.
Because also then when you think about the Pentecost and Matthias, who's actually not the 13th member, he's replacing the 12th.
Yeah.
It's not until we get to Saul, who then goes through his conversion to Paul, that becomes the 13th apostle of the Gentiles. So the relationship is different. He's not one of the original members that goes through the experience believing that Jesus of Nazareth has incarnated the Christ. It's someone who has to come later. So it stands apart and alone and outside. And if you approach it that way, it's quite lovely because you really do experience this turn. And the mood here changes. This is where I put what I call the days of Tehote, the 5 days that the Egyptians put at the end of their calendar that were in no month and in no year. And this, I prefer the Egyptian because they had the birth of their gods and goddesses as close to the Mayan and the dangerous days. You could pick your culture and decide, how am I going to reconcile the 360-degree circle with 365 days that it takes the sun to get back, or you can say, I'll let my calendar do that. So.
It's interesting too with the ascending signs and descending signs. The ascending signs have the day colors,
Yes.
and the descending ones have the night colors. I know in eurythmy that's always a struggle. What are the night colors? Because they're so subtle, But we haven't really penetrated them the same way as the day colors.
Yes, and also then if this line right here is the celestial equator, you'll see that all of those descending signs are below the celestial equator. So it's when the sun, for us in the northern hemisphere anyway, we have less sunlight to work with. We have to develop our will and our capacity to cultivate that light within ourselves. So we could, so that's that. I
So
could
we're
keep
getting
lecturing.
near the end. Does someone have a fruitful seed-like thought that should share to close it all?
Well, before we leave, I would like us to sing one last song.
Okay.
And I was thinking of My Love, the Sea is Calling, and I must leave you now. My love, the sea is calling, and I must leave you now. Blessed are those who cast their net upon the sea. So I feel that we've been casting our nets,
Yes.
gathering the abundance, and now we're...
You want to close with the singing or the verse?
Oh,
Well, I mean, it's nice to close with the singing.
yes, we'll close with the singing.
Okay, then we'll sound the verse and then close with the singing. Does that work?
May I make one little announcement? I have been asked by several of you about an ongoing way to stay in touch with information. And I do have an email list, and occasionally I will get myself in order to send out an email about what's coming, what to pay attention to overhead in the coming season. So if you would like, I'll just put my notebook here, and if you can sign up, you're welcome to do that. And it's not rhythmic yet.
It's alive. It's alive.
It's alive, but it's a sleeping child as yet.
And her business card is over there.
Yes.
A
And
nice, indestructible plastic card.
it can be used as a bookmark.
All right. Are we ready?
Yes.
So, again, just to alert you to one more word, which in the English rendering is joy in becoming. So that's our old friend, Werdelust.
We love that.
I love that word. Werde is to become, and Lust is that dual word, not only joy and happiness in becoming, but also the desire to become. So it's a dual thing. You have to have the desire to become. And it's not even the word Wunsch, which is wish. It's not the wish to become. It's you really want to change. Right? It's like the Buddhist in London who goes to buy a newspaper. And all he has is a 10-pound note. So he gives it to the newspaper vendor. And gets a newspaper, and then he stands there, and the Buddhist says to the newspaper vendor, well, where's my change? And the newspaper vendor smiles and says, change comes from within.
CleanBuddhistJokes.com.
So I think I'll sound the German and then sound the English. Es spricht zum Menschen Ich, sich machtvoll offenbarend und seines Wesens Kräfte lösend, des Weltendaseins Werdelust. In dich mein Leben tragend, aus seinem Zauberbanne erreiche ich mein wahres Ziel. Joy in becoming of cosmic existence, uncovering its strength, unbinding all its powers, speaks to the human eye. I bear in you my life, freed from the enchanter's spell, and so reach my true goal.
So we have to do this without music, but let's sing it first, and then we'll move it. My love, the sea is calling, and I must leave you now. My love, the sea is calling, and I must leave you now. Blessed are those who cast their nets upon the sea. Blessed are those who cast their nets. You ready to try it without the words, or sing it one more time? Sing it. My love, the sea is calling, and I must leave you now. My love, the sea is calling, and I must leave you now. Blessed are those who cast their nets upon the sea. Blessed are those who cast their nets. So let's stand. Hold hands.